Today we're going to look at solving quadratics by using the quadratic formula. So you can find solutions to an equation y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. This is our equation in standard form. So when our equation is in standard form, we can use the quadratic formula. The quadratic formula is x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So the first thing we're going to want to do whenever we use the quadratic formula is to identify a, b, and c. So we have to make sure it's in standard form first, then identify a, b, and c, put them into the formula to solve for our solutions. So for example 1, I have x squared minus 9x plus 27. My a value is the number in front of x squared. So here, that's going to be 1. So a equals 1. B is the number in front of my x term. Make sure you keep the sign. So b here is negative 9. And then c is my constant. C is 27. So now I'm going to go substitute these values into the quadratic formula. So I'm going to have x equals negative b. So negative 9 plus or minus the square root of b squared, so negative 9 squared, minus 4 a c, all over 2a. So now I'm going to go ahead and start simplifying. So I have x equals negative times negative 9 will give me a positive 9, plus or minus the square root. Negative 9 squared is 81. And then minus 4 times 1 times 27 will give me 108. Over 2 times 1, which is 2. I'm going to simplify that radical. 81 minus 101 will give me negative 27. So I have 9 plus or minus the square root of negative 27 over 2. Now 27 is not a perfect square, but there is a perfect square that divides into 27. That's 9. So I'm going to rewrite it as negative 9 times 3. So now the square root of negative 9, so I'm still going to have 9 plus or minus. Square root of negative 9 is 3i, and then root 3 stays under the radical symbol, all over 2. Now this does not simplify any further, so this is going to be my solution. There's a try it problem for you. X squared plus 4x plus 3 equals 0. So go ahead, take a moment, pause the video, and then resume when you're ready to check your answer. So a here is going to be 1. B is 4, and C is 3. So now I'm going to substitute these values into the quadratic formula. So I have x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 a c, all over 2a. So I'm going to have x equals negative 4 plus or minus 4 squared is 16 minus 4 times 1 times 3 is 12 over 2 times 1, 2. The 16 minus 12 will give me 4. So I have negative 4 plus or minus the square root of 4 all over 2. Square root of 4 is 2. So I have negative 4 plus or minus 2 all over 2. Now I'm going to go ahead and set up my two cases because everything's simplified. One case will be with addition. So x equals negative 4 plus 2 over 2. And the second case will be with subtraction. So x equals negative 4 minus 2 over 2. For the first case, negative 4 plus 2 is negative 2. And negative 2 over 2 simplifies to negative 1. So my first solution is -1. Second case, -4 minus 2 is -6, and -6 over 2 simplifies to -3. So my two solutions are -1 and -3. So now we're going to go ahead and look at example 2. We're going to continue solving using the quadratic formula. Remember, my equation used to be in standard form first. So if it isn't in standard form, I need to rewrite it in standard form before I identify A, B, and C. So for A, I have 2x squared plus 6x plus 3 equals 0. It's in standard form. So I'm going to go ahead and identify my A, B, and C. So A equals 2. B is 6. And then C is 3. So now I'm going to use my formula. X equals negative B plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4AC all over 2A. Now I'm going to start simplifying. So I'm going to have -6 plus or minus square root 6 squared is 36 minus 4 times 2 times 3 gives me 24 over 2 times 2, which is 4. So I'm going to have -6 plus or minus 36 minus 12, or sorry, 36 minus 24 gives me 12, and that's all over 4. 12 is not a perfect square, but there's a perfect square that goes into 12. That is 4. So I'm going to rewrite that as 4 times 3. So now I have x equals -6 plus or minus the square root of 4 is 2, and 3 stays under the radical symbol. And that's still all over 4. Now, each term can be divided by 2. So I'm going to divide each piece by 2. So I get -3 plus or minus 2 divided by 2 is 1. So I have 1 root 3 or just root 3. And then in the denominator, 4 divided by 2 is 2. So my solution is -3 plus or minus root 3 over 2. For B, I have 2x squared minus 7x equals -3. I need to get everything to one side first because it's not in standard form. So I need to add 3 to both sides. So I'm going to have 2x squared minus 7x plus 3 equals 0. Now that it's in standard form, I can go ahead identify my A, B, and C. So A is 2, B is -7, and C is going to be 3. So now I substitute these values into the quadratic formula. So I get x equals negative B, so negative, and then B, so -7, plus or minus the square root of B squared, so -7 squared, minus 4AC, all over 2A. So now I get x equals negative times -7 will give me a +7, plus or minus the square root. -7 squared is 49, minus 4 times 2 times 3 will give me 24, over 2 times 2, 4. So now I have x equals 7 plus or minus 49 minus 24 will give me 25. So square root of 25 over 4. Square root of 25 is 5. So I have 7 plus or minus 5 over 4. So now I can continue simplifying further. I'm going to set up my two cases, one with addition and then the second case with subtraction. So first case, I'm going to add 7 plus 5, which is 12, and 12 over 4 simplifies to 3. So my first solution is 3. Second equation, 7 minus 5 is 2, and 2 over 4 simplifies to 1/2. So my solutions are 3 and 1/2. There are 2 try-it problems at the bottom for you to do, so go ahead, take a moment, pause the video, and then resume when you're ready to check your answer. So for C, I need to first start by getting everything to one side. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract 9x from both sides and add 2 to both sides. So I get 4x squared minus 9x plus 2 equals 0. Identify your A, B, and C. So A equals 4. B is negative 9. And then C is 2. So now I'm going to put it into the quadratic formula. So x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 a c all over 2a. So now I start to simplify. So x equals negative 9 gives me a positive 9, plus or minus the square root. Negative 9 squared is 81. Minus 4 times 2 gives me 32. All over 2 times 4 is 8. So now I have x equals 9 plus or minus 81 minus 32 gives me 49. So I have the square root of 49 over 8. The square root of 49 is 7. So I have 9 plus 7 over 8. So now I'm going to set up my 2 cases. So with addition, I'm going to have 9 plus 7 over 8. With subtraction, I have 9 minus 7 over 8. 9 plus 7 is 16, and 16 over 8 simplifies to 2. So x equals 2. Second answer, 9 minus 2 or 7 is 2, and 2 over 8 simplifies to 1/4. So my 2 solutions, 2 and 1/4. For B or D, I have 3x squared plus 18x equals negative 27. So I need to move that 27 over to the left-hand side by adding 27 to both sides to get it in standard form. So I have 3x squared plus 18x plus 27 equals 0. So now I'm going to identify my A, B, and C. So A is your coefficient of your x squared term. So A equals 3. B is the coefficient of your x term. So B equals 18. And then C is your constant. So C here is 27. So now I'm going to substitute these into my quadratic formula. So I have x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 a c all over 2a. So I have negative 18 plus or minus. Now I need to do 18 squared. 18 times 18 is 324. Minus 4 times 3 times 27 gives me 324. All over 2 times 3, which is 6. So now I have negative 18 plus or minus. 324 minus 324 gives me 0 over 6. Now, the square root of 0 is just 0. So I have plus or minus 0 over 6. Whenever I add or subtract 0, it doesn't change my value. So I'm just going to have negative 18 over 6, which simplifies to negative 3. So my solution here is x equals negative 3. In this case, I only have one solution.